But I'd rather not put them to work that way and keep them focused on the purpose of this event, right, which is to talk about equity and inclusion. And so with that, to introduce our next panel, I'd like to invite to the podium Tracey McCants Lewis. She's Associate Clinical Professor and Interim Co-Director of the Duquesne University School of Law in the Department of Clinical Legal Education.
Good morning and welcome to Duquesne University. We are going to be speaking about ban the box. This topic is very timely in that we are now seeing a number of corporations, institutions that are now recognizing that someone having a criminal background and not being able to work, it's not just a social justice issue, but it's becoming an employment issue. It's an economic issue, and because it is an economic issue, more attention is being paid to it. While we were sitting here just at 10:11 a.m., I received a email from the Federal Bar Association. There is going to be a CLE, which is a continuing legal education class for attorneys to recognize that criminal records and employment process and what can be done. So today we're going to have a very brief but enlightening conversation on Ban the Box. So I would like to invite up the panel. We have Khadija Diggs, who is Assistant Counsel for the PA Governor's Office, Office of General Counsel. Charlene Holder, Supervisor of Talent Management for the City of Pittsburgh. Paul Lee, Masters of Social Work, Mental Health, Drug, and Alcohol Therapist. Dean Williams, who is the Executive Director of the formerly convicted Citizens Project. Amy Kroll, Administrator of Reentry Services for Allegheny County Jail. And Laura Zaspel, Human Resources Director for Allegheny County. And please review their bios in your program booklet. So what is this Ban the Box thing? Ban the Box is a system to delay review of one's criminal history until later in the application or hiring process. So what I'd like to begin with talking about, if we could look at the City of Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and what they're doing with regard to Ban the Box. So I'd like to start with Laura, if you'd like to start.
Thank you. Thanks for having me this morning, being part of this important discussion, and hopefully it will be helpful if I take a little bit of time to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of operationalizing Ban the Box for Allegheny County, and it might help some other organizations that have been thinking about doing that. Not long after I started in my position several years ago, Chief Executive Fitzgerald, as he mentioned earlier, and the county senior leadership team made it clear that they were supportive of the Ban the Box initiative. And they asked me to determine potential implications for the county's hiring processes and to come up with a plan and some strategies and practices for implementing Ban the Box. And as a relatively decentralized organization, one of the county's challenges in adopting Ban the Box was really the fact that there was not a standardized, consistent background checking policy or procedure in place for any type of background checks that would ensure equal opportunity. Oh, sure, sorry. Equal opportunity, employment opportunity to persons with criminal convictions. Some departments did checks on all of their employees or prospective employees. Some did checks on some positions, and some departments didn't do checks on any positions at all. So we did agree at the time that in order to be able to take the criminal conviction question off of the employment application, we needed to develop a process that was consistent and fair and timely in making final employment decisions after it had been determined that the most qualified person for the position was fit to be hired. And we thought that consistency in policy was very important because the county does hire hundreds of employees every year. So we spent several months doing a lot of policy research. We did assessments of hiring processes throughout county departments. We looked at coordinating the logistics of actually running the checks and what type of checks needed to be run, and then of communicating with and training department leadership and staff involved in the hiring processes on the new policy and processes. So finally, our criminal history and background checks policy was adopted, and the box was banned on January 1st of 2015. Since that time, the Human Resources Department, and namely I have to call out Wallace Bright, who is our workforce diversity specialist and has a lot of responsibilities, now processes a whole lot of background checks, 1,775 to be exact since we started the program, have been run on candidates after they've been offered conditional employment. And of those 1,775 checks, 104 employees did come back with criminal records. That's approximately 6%, if our math is right, of the people that we were looking at as being the most qualified for positions. In each of those 104 cases of criminal records, we looked at the criminal convictions of those candidates through an individual assessment, looking at that in the context of the relevancy of the background or of the offense to the position, of the recency, and just a lot of other factors in the employment's background. And as a result, 85 of those 104 were ultimately offered employment. So we can say that approximately 82% do have jobs. So I can say with great confidence that the initiation of Ban the Box has been a very positive process for Allegheny County, both from the perspective of forcing us to develop more consistent and equitable hiring policies and practices, as well as just from the business advantages that we're realizing as an organization in hiring qualified and motivated individuals who are deserving of employment opportunities.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. I'd like to move on to Charlene, if you could describe the City of Pittsburgh's efforts with regard to Ban the Box.
Okay. The City of Pittsburgh pretty much went through the same process as Laura spoke of, so we won't rehash the whole thing. City Council did put ours in place in December of 2012. We have been following the policies. We had to create new policies because of Ban the Box. Our whole application process was redone. We removed the criminal question, the felony conviction question off the application totally. Sorry. Once again, I can't. Just stand up. Yeah. So, you know, it improved the process. It allowed more people to feel comfortable with their applications. We removed the question. We had tons more applicants. To this day, we do not, I can honestly say, before we even banned the box, we were already giving people a second chance who had felony convictions. We didn't have to worry about, we weren't worried about the process of, are we going to be liable for something, because we did our checks and balances. And then once we did remove the question from the application, we did more thorough checks as far as we had our OMI office, our Office of Municipal Investigations. In the beginning, they were doing the background checks. Now we have it contracted out. We have Justifax who takes care of that. So the process was pretty much the same as the county. We just approved it before the county did theirs.
Thank you, Charlene. Khadija, May 5th, 2017, the governor's office announced their Fair Chance hiring. Could you explain and give us some details with regard to that initiative?
I can. So, same. City. County. State. Same. The state's policy becomes effective July 1st of this year. It is initially with regard to non-civil service positions that we will be removing the criminal history question. The expectation is by the end of the year that policy will also apply to the civil service positions. So that's something that the state is running through the Office of Administration. And because we are the state, if it's something that you are interested in, call us, because we'll be glad to help you understand what we did, which was build on what the city and the county did. And we're pretty excited about it because I don't know if you recall, but this time last year, I was here introducing Secretary of Corrections John Wetzel, who spoke during this roundtable. And he was talking about 90% of the people who are incarcerated are expected to return home. So we have to be intentional about what are our expectations of their ability to succeed, as well as what are our expectations with our ability to sustain a safe public space. And a big part of that is sustainable employment. So this is the state's response to that, is the fair chance hiring process. And you may also have heard that very recently the governor's office, in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, created the Pennsylvania Reentry Council. Have any of you heard Pennsylvania Reentry Council? You have, good. I was scanning the audience when I was sitting up here because I was hoping that Tamara Collier was here. She's one of the key people who have been involved in reentry for some time locally, and she's one of the people that is on the Pennsylvania Reentry Council. So they had their first meeting in May. They will be meeting quarterly. It's an effort to sort of collaborate instead of having the fragmented pieces of reentry that go on across the state now. If you are interested in details on that, I'm saying Tamara's name because she's here as the reentry coordinator in the U.S. Attorney's Office, but also within the Attorney General's office, it's Robert K. Reed, who is the Executive Deputy Attorney General for Public Engagement, who's taking the lead on that Reentry Council. So I think we have figured out how critical this issue is, and we're making a concerted effort to be responsive to it. But the fact that you all have shown up and care about it means that you already know, you have dug in on the things that you are most knowledgeable about and care most deeply about, and you have to push your state representatives, including the governor, to make sure that they understand the details of why it's important and that they have the support to make the necessary changes to make it more impactful. Can I say one more thing and I won't speak again?
Sure.
I'm really happy to be here. So Pittsburgh is home for me. Many of you might not know that 2 months ago I promoted from my deputy director for the governor's Southwest Regional Office to assistant counsel in the Office of General Counsel, which means I'm living and working in Harrisburg now. So I'm happy to be up here and give like one big general. I'm so sorry that I left so quickly. I apologize I haven't returned your emails, but I don't get them anymore. When I moved from one Commonwealth job to another Commonwealth job, I got a new email address. Sorry.
Well, welcome back to Pittsburgh, Khadija, for this time. We're glad to have you back. Looking at criminal history and the barriers that individuals face, there are several collateral consequences that come with having a criminal background. And in Pennsylvania, our laws with regard to expungement and even arrest records, if someone is arrested, it stays on their record until they can get it expunged or removed. And then there's the governor's pardon process, which is a long process. So I'd like to move on to Dean. Why is Ban the Box so important for individuals that do have a criminal background?
First of all, I'd like to say I'm extremely excited to be here because I was formerly Convicted Citizens Project in 2010 that started getting the ball rolling to get Ban the Box legislated in the city of Pittsburgh. We were able to successfully advocate for Ban the Box by utilizing expungement and pardon processes to get the population that have the records to advocate for themselves. And we also partnered with people I see here. Mr. Esther Bush from the Urban League and Tim Stevens from BPAP and several other organizations that supported us to help us to get ban-the-box legislation passed in the city of Pittsburgh. By 2013, I had a meeting with County Executive Rich Fitzgerald, who told me that he would do it by executive order. So it moved to the county, and now it's moving to the state. So this is pretty much snowball, but there are lots of people who are having this issue. They can't find jobs, housing, or anything else, and it just makes it difficult for families to be able to provide for themselves. So this issue is probably one of the biggest issues in our region. And now we're not only holding expungement and pardon workshops, helping people to clean their records up, but we're looking for every job opportunity possible to give people a second chance. So this is vital for us to be able to, everybody in this room can do something about it. So we just need to be able to provide second chances, and you see the outcome of that through Aaron, some of the success he's had, and some of the success I've had. We often have people who are extremely motivated to move their lives forward and can be some of the best employees that you can get. So this is vital for our region to move on and help as many people as we can.
Thank you. Through the work that I've done here at Duquesne University School of Law, we see a number of individuals that want to move forward. So we've had opportunity to get their records expunged, get governor's pardons, but we're dealing with a lot of individuals that might be coming out of a correctional facility. So I'd like to move on to Amy Kroll, who is at Allegheny County Jail Reentry Services. What type of reentry services are you providing for individuals before they leave the institution?
We're really where the rubber meets the road. We churn in and out about 20,000 people a year in Allegheny County Jail. But on any given day in reentry services, we're working with about 400 to 500 individuals. Everything from them getting their high school diploma to actually learning a skill in the jail. 4 years ago, we actually started a machining program in the jail that individuals can receive 2 national machining certifications in the jail. Also, as they move to our work release programs, they can go everything from a program that has culinary arts to roofing to welding. Now we partner with CCAC, and also for individuals in the trades, they are going to the Trade Institute to learn the beginning skills of what it's like to get into some type of the trades. All those industries are very forgiving of individuals with criminal records. We understand, though, we have to go even beyond that. And one of the biggest things is getting the legislator to remove that if you have a felony drug conviction that you lose your license for a year. Even if you're not in a car, you could lose your license for a year, which really impedes and restricts individuals that want those skilled, union jobs, but can't get to the work sites because of it. So we have gone very far with Ban the Box, but we have so much further to go for individuals involved in the criminal justice system to be able to get them a living wage.
Thank you, Amy. Now, 1 in 3 individuals in the United States has some type of criminal background. But we all know, sitting in this room, because again, we're speaking to the choir, the number of individuals that have a criminal background are Black and brown people. And I'd like to move on to Mr. Lee to talk about what are the psychological effects of having a criminal history, having a criminal record, and then compounding that with not being able to get a job, housing, or perhaps education because you have to check that box. What are the psychological effects that individuals go through?
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to be here. Let's be honest here. African Americans make up 13% of America. And out of that 13%, when we look at the African American males in particular, 50% graduate from high school. And when we look after that, how many African American males particularly goes into a CCAC community college? Out of that 50%, about half. And then you just keep going down the line, and when you get into bachelor school, it's like out of that whole population, maybe 10%. And then when you get into graduate school, we're talking about 5% or even lower get a graduate degree. That hurts. So when you have, this, I was just talking to my brother last night. He got out of prison 22 years. He's an outlier. I'm an outlier. There's a lot of African-American males in here that are outliers. That's sad. It's not sad in terms of God has blessed us and we're able to persevere through. But one of my major advocacy concerns is, what about the 90% that is out there? That's where we should be focusing our energy towards. So the psychological effects of having a criminal record, first of all, we have to do a prerequisite in terms of their stress level. Most African American males will not even seek a job because of a felony conviction. That in itself, you got to understand, will permeate into other siblings and of males and females. That message will permeate into their minds, and they will do the same. So the pattern is created and it continues. We don't have an advocacy voice in our communities that will say, look, you don't have to be out here isolated and marginalized by yourself, because although many of us, this is what's so sad, many of us that may have a criminal background, we actually create an environment whereas we actually feel a part of. You got to understand the psychological realm of this. So when we feel a part of having a criminal background, what it does is that it keeps us stuck. It keeps us there. We need to show more people like this gentleman, myself, and other people who have been through that process. We need to show other ones that they do not have to be in that position and stay there. However, if there is no, like we've been talking about, if there's no sponsorships, if there's no people that have the resources, see, because we need to see, optics matter. Optics matter. We need to see UPMC, Mercy, all these other agencies that come out in the public eye, and whether it's through television, media, or whatever, to assure these gentlemen and women, people of color, that they're not alone. It's a very, and I'm just close with this, the gentleman that just got shot in Minneapolis, heart-wrenching. But when I look at him as an African-American male in the car with his daughter and his wife, and he got murdered, I was crying. What about, and he was a worker, he was a productive member of society. We need to stop focusing so much on just the ones, the outliers. We're here. We somewhat made it. What about the 90%? Nobody talks about them. Nobody. If African American males don't get included into the fold, and I suggest, I believe in about 10, 15 years, everybody's going to say, what happened? They're going to be gone.
Right. Thank you. I'd also like to close by saying that we need to stay in touch and keep in touch with our state legislators to know what type of legislation is on the table. Right now, I believe last month, they submitted the clean slate legislation, which will allow individuals who have criminal histories from 10 years or prior, these convictions will fall off. Whereas right now, we need ban the box because we don't have the ability in Pennsylvania for long-time criminal convictions to be removed from one's record. They have to take the initiative and the step to get a pardon, which is a 4-year process, or go through the expungement process, which costs money. So educate yourselves on that. Hopefully, if clean slate passes, we won't have need for ban the box. We still will, but it will lessen the need for it. So thank you to the panelists. Thank you so much to Allegheny County, the city of Pittsburgh, and to the Commonwealth for embracing ban the box to allow good people, to allow all people to have the ability to go back to work to support themselves and their families. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.